Good morning, everyone. Tuesday morning, still cold in Oklahoma City. What's up, David? Good to have you with us this morning from New Hampshire. What's the weather like in New Hampshire this morning? What's up, Professor? Glad to have you with us. Low 40s and rain in New Hampshire, David says. Here in Oklahoma City, I believe it's still 30 something right about now. No rain. Maybe there was a little bit of dew or fog out there this morning. Well, we're in thunderstorm season, so haven't had anything too bad around here lately, or yet this season, but I'm sure it'll be coming. They're forecasting thunderstorms for Thursday night again, which I think we've had issues the last two Thursday evenings. This one, though, they keep saying Thursday evening into Friday morning, which I don't know if they just mean shortly after midnight by Friday morning, because those nighttime tornadoes, it's just not something I've witnessed. I've seen a ton of tornadoes in the Oklahoma City area in my lifetime, but coming through during the middle of the night or early morning would be extremely rare. Yeah, thank you, David. I appreciate you saying that. I'm enjoying a nice cup of decaf myself. Some heavy cream in there and some stevia sweetener. But yeah, it's a little chilly. I'm ready for the more permanent good weather. I'm ready to lose my jacket for a few months. What's up, Sean? Glad that you have joined us. Hope all is well with you. I don't think we've talked since the live stream last week. Cold in the UK too. I don't know, Sean. In my mind, maybe it's just from watching too much TV or movies, but in my mind it seems like it's always cold and dreary in the UK. Maybe from watching too much golf. It's a little bit cool here, but like I said, today it's going to be a high in I think about 55, which isn't too bad. You still need a jacket though for the most part, especially with any wind. But tomorrow will be in the 60s, and then from that point we're going to be in the 70s and 80s for the next week or so anyway. Yeah, Sean, my buddy Shane, who joined us last week under his username, or not last week, maybe it was a couple weeks ago, under the username David. He lives up in the Puget Sound. I think it's the Puget Sound. Anyway, off the coast of Washington State on an island called Anacortes. And he complains about it raining, and I guess it's, wherever you live, there's going to be some trade-off. If it's never cold, then it's going to be too hot. If it doesn't get too hot or too cold, then it's going to be too dreary. So in Oklahoma, we seem to get we get the extreme. I mean, it's not like we get sub-zero temperatures here or anything like that, but man, we get some cold weather with some high winds. And then in the summertime, it might be 105 degrees for 40 days straight. You just never know. Hello, Zippo Daily Fix. Glad that you have joined us today. Haven't seen you in a while. Professor's Garage says it's foggy with super light snow flurries today in Montana. Yeah, when I think of Montana, it's not quite as dreary as when I think of the UK. But I do think of when I picture Montana in my mind, and keep in mind I've never been there, but I think of driving snow. I think of Jeremiah Johnson and that sort of existence. Any of the rest of you drinking coffee this morning? What kind of coffee are you drinking, David? I just drink the cheap. Well, the one I have up there right now may actually be Folgers brand, but typically I buy whatever's cheapest at Walmart or Sam's Club. The cheapest decaf, which is a strange thing, the way that they stock those Sam's Clubs, because they all only ever have one option for decaf coffee in either K-Cup or loose ground. They'll have a million different options that are caffeinated, but just one of each kind. So you got to be kind of particular about where you buy it. When you say instant coffee, Sean, are you talking about what's that? There used to be commercials here in the States when I was growing up. It's like crystallized somehow, and it actually like dissolves into your water. Granules, yeah. I think we're thinking the same thing. I can't remember what the brand was here, and I don't know that I've ever drank that. If I did, it was a long time ago. My old man was a big coffee drinker, and not only that, but he made strong coffee. At work, he always made the coffee. At home, he made the coffee. So he showed me how to make the coffee. But nowadays, it's all different because nowadays I'm just doing it one cup at a time. And it all depends on my circumstances, too. There are times, like when I was working over at the place in Mesta Park, that I would drink 3 or 4 cups a day. And that's decaf. So it's not like it's caffeinating me or anything like that. It's more just hydration and entertainment. But since I've been over here at the place in Deep Deuce more often, and maybe it's the cold weather. I think maybe I don't like drinking it as much in the cold weather. I don't like quite anything as much in the cold weather as I used to. But anyway, so nowadays I pretty much have just been drinking a cup of coffee on Tuesdays when we do the live stream. Where there for a while I felt a little bit like a decaf junkie. Oh, I hope that hadn't gone flat, Professor. That Mountain Dew, I've talked a lot about how I don't eat sugar and carbs, or at least keep them to the bare minimum. And I don't eat pasta or anything like that. The only carbs or sugar that I eat are what's naturally in some of the healthier stuff that I eat, like almonds and other nuts, seeds, that kind of thing. Um, I got distracted there. I don't remember what my point. Oh, the Mountain Dew. That Mountain Dew is extremely high in caffeine, and if there's a third element that I stick away from or stay away from, it's caffeine. I'll have a every now and then. It wouldn't bother me to have a little bit of caffeine, but we're talking maybe in a soda, once every 6 months. But since I quit drinking sugar or consuming sugar, well, that's not really much of an option either. So, there's been once or twice in the last year where I've gotten a hold of a caffeine-free Diet Coke or something like that. But I can't imagine that much sugar, and because that Mountain Dew I think is pretty high in caffeine as well. Of course, I don't think any of those sodas have anywhere near as much as a caffeinated cup of coffee. Yeah, I've heard that from others as well, Jeremy. Um, my daughter's a big coffee drinker, and she drinks, caffeinated. She's a young person. She doesn't have any um, health problems yet that she needs to watch out for something like that. But she said in her mind that she thinks that decaf drinkers are the real coffee drinkers because they're doing it just for the enjoyment of the coffee. And that's something that I never really did. I drank plenty of coffee back in the day. Um, I can remember every time we'd go on break at the post office, going and grabbing a cup of coffee out of the machine, and then going and sitting down in the cold outside and smoking. Um, I drank plenty of coffee, but I had an incident when I was probably about 30, 35 years old, where sort of like a panic attack. I was hungover, hadn't eaten the next morning, and drank a bunch of coffee, and it affected me in a way that was scary. It was scary in a way that alcohol or any drug never scared me. And so I pretty much quit drinking coffee cold turkey that day. And I didn't drink caffeine at all for probably 10 years. And then a few years ago, I got to where I would, have a cup here or there. But because of heart problems and reasons that I'm looking out for my diet nowadays as well, that's why I don't drink it now. I worry more about the effect that the caffeine would have on my heart. But um, it never had the effect on me, or it didn't seem to. I drank plenty of it to try to stay awake, but I don't know if it ever, just never really seemed to work that way. So I don't know, but well, I take that back. I've had some incidents since then where I might have had a couple of sodas several years ago and was really jittery. So I guess I can think of times where maybe it affected me in a certain way, but it never seemed to be that magic elixir to wake you up like people thought it was anyway. But I wouldn't say it's definitely not pointless because I enjoy drinking water. I like especially cold water, goes down smooth. It's very refreshing, but there's not a lot of variety in water. And like I said, I don't drink sugar. I don't drink other things. So this coffee is kind of my one as far as things I drink. The one thing that is just kind of purely for enjoyment or entertainment. Yeah. Well, um, despite your blue balls analogy, I promise you wouldn't mind having blue balls if you had had the mental experience that I'd had with it. You probably wouldn't. That's one of the things that I've always argued about weed. You know, just like anybody else, I've had some weird experiences, especially when I first started. but I never had weed scare me like caffeine did. I mean, that was a very scary situation that day. And anyway, I don't regret it one bit. Yeah, I think those granules, it's kind of like, I don't know what the medium is, the carrier, but it's kind of like dehydrated ground coffee, I think, or like dehydrated prepared coffee. Sort of like how they collect liquid smoke um, or sea salt, things that are sort of gathered as a residual. It's the residual part of the component that is adhering to whatever that is that actually dissolves into your cup. Yeah, but man, I don't know if I can handle it. Any kind of flat soda. Uh, that's kind of offensive to me. More power to you if you can make it through it, Professor. Yeah, so that's I think that's pretty high. Uh, I forget. I read the other day what it was for Dr. Pepper and Coke. I think those were for like a 12-ounce can. Those were around 40 something milligrams. Huh? I didn't realize. I didn't know tea was that high in caffeine. And I haven't made tea in a long time, but the last time that I obviously wouldn't make sweet tea. Well, I can make sweet tea, but I would have to do it with my erythritol or stevia sweetener. But the last times I did it, making it with sugar, I used decaffeinated tea as well, which tastes just as good as decaffeinated coffee. Now, I didn't realize that I thought they just drank tea in the UK, Sean. I didn't realize that you guys were coffee drinkers over there. Yep, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Professor. He says that caffeine doesn't keep him awake either. And not only that, but I have a lot of experience with exactly what you're talking about, working the night shift and falling asleep. Back in the day at the U.S. Postal Service, oh man, we're talking 30 years ago or more now. Back on the second job that I had, well, yeah, no, the second job that I had was uh, what they called the LSMs, the letter sorting machines, where nowadays they have the BCS and DBCS, or they probably even got something beyond that now, but it's the same basic technology where these computers read and sort the mail through these hundreds of bins that are on the one machine. Back in the day, we actually keyed all that into a different, much bigger machine. And I went to work at, it seems like I went in at 10:30 and got off at 7 in the morning. And by 11 o'clock, man, you sitting there with the rhythmic pumping of that. It was air that little arm grabbed a hold of that mail and then set it down in front of you, turned it upside down, or took it from its upside down position, set it down in front of you. Um, Man, I have slept through countless pieces of mail, and I wasn't alone. There were plenty of us. Everybody did it at some point. But yeah, night shift, overnight work especially. Um, wasn't so bad. I spent I think it was 16 or 17 years on nights or overnights, and the majority of that on overnights. It's just a miserable existence. Not a good work environment. Well, that's an interesting thought, Professor. I had not heard that before. All right, David, glad that you have joined us here in the chat, and hopefully you can enjoy from the television perspective. I always liked casting it to the TV when I was watching different YouTube channels over in the place on Mester Park while I was working. It's a lot more enjoyable experience seeing these small things being done on a bigger platform. You can see what's going on a lot easier. Not that we're doing anything today that you really need to see details into. I'm thinking more like repair videos and show and tell videos and things like that. Professor, you talking about the ADHD? Because that's one thing that my wife has ADHD and or been diagnosed with it, and she drinks a lot of coffee though. But she seems to think that she never gave me any indication that it didn't work for her. But maybe that's just one of those things. Maybe it's not a hard and fast rule. But I'd never heard that caffeine may not affect ADHD people as much as others. Okay, so Sean, you say you drink a lot of tea and coffee? Nice. So that's certainly something that I have not experienced, Sean, is uh, drinking French coffee or Spanish coffee in the cafes of Europe. Sean, have you done a lot of traveling in Europe? Have you gone to a lot of the other countries around you? I had a cousin, or I have a cousin, who was stationed in Germany up until a year or two ago for the last 10 years or so. And he kept trying to get me to come over there. But that's what he always talked about, was how everything was in such close proximity. All these different countries and historic places that you could go and see, and basically ride a train on a circuit from one to the other. Yeah. Um, I hope that you weren't trying to keep anything too, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fragile, but I hope whatever you were trying to secure wasn't in too much danger if you were sleeping, Sean. When we would fall asleep on those letter sorting machines, you you had a two-layer keyboard that kind of looked like a piano, kind of long keys that came out, and so I can't remember. I have no idea now how it was laid out. I'm certain that it was like one or zero, one, two, three, four, and then five, six, seven, eight, nine. I think something like that. But then the upper keys were something else. And there were different codes that you had to key. And most of what we keyed, you keyed these. The other machines all keyed at 60 a minute. We keyed at 50, but they were keying 3 digits. We were keying 4 on the particular crew that I was on. But anyway, when you would fall asleep, you would just keep, your fingers would just naturally keep hitting the same thing that they hit when you fell asleep. So either one particular bin would start filling up, or the reject bin would start filling up, and then here would somebody come running around the machine, waking up whoever was asleep. I don't have many memories of the post office that actually make me smile, but those kind of make me smile. I just don't know how it could be avoided. Such dull, boring work, and it's so unnatural to sleep during the day. Nothing went missing. Well, that's good. Looks like you performed your job then. Probably better than I performed mine when I was falling asleep on that letter sorting machine. Oh, that's cool. I when I was in high school, we had a foreign exchange student from Brazil. It was a really good friend of mine, and like I said, he was from Brazil, but he spoke Portuguese. That's about the closest that I have to any of those places. But Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, all places that I would uh, love to visit if I had the opportunity, for sure. The farmers market's starting back up this Saturday here in Oklahoma City. The one that used to be at the OSU in OKC is now at Scissortail Park. And I think it's from 9 to 1 every Saturday. There's still the other one that's always gone on. Similar time frame. I think it's more like 8 to 2 or something like that out at the old Farmers Market building. And I think that's like Southwest 4th and Klein. So I'll be checking those out this weekend. Any of the rest of you guys visit the farmers markets in the spring or summer? Do y'all have farmers markets in the UK, Sean? My iPad that I'm monitoring this on is locked up on me over here again, just like it did last week. So I'm going to try to bring it up on my other iPad via the data connection. Which it looks like it's going to come up here. Yeah, and I can see I missed a couple of I missed a couple of comments, so I think it did lock up on me there. But hopefully we didn't lose the actual feed here. So you're saying they do have farmers markets, but because of the cold nature, the cold temperature, the cold climate, you won't be frequenting them this weekend? What is the other thing where we have flea markets or garage sales? They call it a boot sale. Is that right? Oh, okay. So your town is it's pretty rural area, Professor. I guess I mean I know there's cities in Montana, but I guess there's plenty of space for rural towns. I've sold a few lighters over the last couple of weeks, and still have some others. Most of these that are out here right now are my ones that are in my personal collection. But this red anodized park lighter with the pipe insert is listed in my store, as is the Zippo from, I think it was 1994. Could be wrong about that, but I think that was 1994. With the Carrier Air Wing 7 logo, painted graphic, along with all this customized engraving, which I assume had something to do with places the ship went or missions that it was involved with. It says made November 94, maiden voyage. But then there's like 5 or 6 different lines of these series of letters and numbers. Anyway, also the lid is engraved ABHC Cray Boats, which I can't remember how I looked that up, but if I know you can go to Wikipedia and either going to Carrier Air Wing 7 or maybe actually typing in Cray Boats, you can find information on that. Well, I don't know what that actually is. Carrier Air Wing 7, what that is. Is that a unit, a what size of a crew that was or whatever. So the Sean says, yeah, they don't have that many farmers markets where he's at the moment, but the car boot sales are good. That he used to sell stuff every weekend in London. So what's the deal there, Sean? Does everybody go to one place and just park and pop the trunk, and that's people walk from trunk to trunk? Is that the idea of a car boot sale? And well, surely you can just go to buy, can't you? You don't have to sell things, do you? It's more of like a swap meet, like people doing a lot of trading. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of farmland in Oklahoma too, Professor. But yeah, not only is I think Montana probably a little bit more rural than Oklahoma in general. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but definitely a bigger place. If my um, memory of the map is correct, seems like Montana is a pretty big state. Probably at least half again or twice the size of Oklahoma. Okay, interesting. I always wondered about that boot sale, where that got its where it started or what it meant exactly. I knew it was sort of like a garage sale or flea market, but I didn't even understand that you were parking and that's what everybody was like selling out of their trunk. I didn't realize that. I'm not sure what language Professor and Sean are speaking in the live chat, but I can't understand a lot of it. Okay, so it's about $10 to park and to sell, but then $2. See, that always rubs me the wrong way when they're going to charge you just to walk in the door for the opportunity to buy something. I would have to know that that place was, of course, $2 isn't a lot. So maybe not that big a deal, especially if, you run into good stuff, if you know that you normally run into good stuff there. Just on principle, I don't like the idea of charging somebody to come in and then let them buy. Oh, wow. So you lived in Portugal, or you lived in Brazil, Professor? That is interesting. I've heard Portuguese spoken a lot by my Brazilian friend, but I don't know any. I think it's pretty close to Spanish, isn't it? Pretty similar. You once convinced a Brazilian or a Brazilian that you were from Portugal. That's awesome. What's up, J. Rowe? Glad to see you. Glad that you have joined us. Azrael, glad to see you, my friend. Glad to see you both. Haven't seen J-Ro in a few weeks, and Azrael wasn't with us last week. Yeah, that's one place that I haven't. Obviously, I haven't been to any car boot sales because I'm not even aware of those being done here in the States. But I haven't been to. We've got a couple of weekend flea markets around here, and I've never. Well, for one, until the last few years, I've never been an early riser. But nowadays, I do get up early. And for the first time in a long time, it looks like I'm kind of going to be up to my own devices this weekend. So I may get out and try to be at one of those flea markets this weekend when they open. But yeah, that's sort of the way it is at a lot of the antique malls and stuff too, Sean. Not to the same degree, because probably the car boot sale is probably more like the flea market where somebody's been gathering up stuff all week and now it's time to go sell it. Um, but those antique malls, you definitely see stuff where it's way overpriced, and then you see stuff where, I mean, they should have asked way more. There's I don't understand sometimes the mentality of people. Um, I'm not complaining. I'm glad that some people think that way, but um, it kind of boggles my mind that in this day and age, with the internet, what it is, that people still, not that it happens every day, but it happens more than you would think, where somebody pays $5 or $10 for a Black Crackle World War II era Zippo. I mean, all you got to do is check the listings on eBay, and you'd have a clue that you should ask a little bit more than $5 or $10. I mean, a Black Crackle in any kind of condition at all is going to bring 150 or 175, and usually a couple hundred. But I get it though. People, it's hard for people. They may know that they've got something of value, but to think that it has that much more valuable or that much more value than, any other piece of junk that they come across, you know. But yeah, I do believe that you can get some good deals on stuff like that. Like I said, you can do it around here at the antique malls and stuff. It's just like needles in a haystack. Azrael, you're saying that Portuguese and Spanish speakers would say they're totally different? Well, I forget what it is with English. English, it's like, I mean, there's a lot of English that comes from Spanish. It's like, I don't even remember. Back when my kids were being homeschooled, I might have had some statistics in my head. What's up, Keith? Glad that you have joined us this morning. No, the closest thing that I've ever heard to a car boot sale in the U.S., Sean, at least with that kind of setup, would be like the trunk or treat things that they do at Halloween. They'll like take a church parking lot or a mall parking lot or something, and cars will line up and kids will walk from trunk to trunk. But I've never heard of that as far as like selling stuff. It's a good idea though. I mean, it really is. Sell right out of your trunk there. Got your space. Guess you can probably set up a table if you want to, or just sell right out of your trunk. Ah, very cool, Professor. Was that when you were younger, or was that for work? Yeah, like I said, I guess $2 isn't that bad. Um, but I don't know. It, like I said, charging somebody just for the opportunity to walk in there and then, you know, possibly spend more money seems like a better business model to, especially with the $2. Of course, $2 is going to add up if you get enough people come through the door. So there's probably not enough people like me that are going to be stingy about $2 that it'll hurt them. Yeah, that's very cool, ZDF. Where did you, was that at a flea market or antique mall? Where did you find the 1940 nickel silver? And when you say nickel silver, is that, was that the tall case or the regular? Was that 1947 or 1946? Yes, Azrael, $5 would be a steal. But there's a guy named Rob Giaretta who probably has the most impressive Zippo collection that I've seen. Um, and they were talking about that in one of the Facebook Lighter groups a couple of weeks ago. And he said that over the years, I think he said he's probably found 20 of them for less than $10. So for $5 or $10, he's found around 20 World War II Black Crackle Zippos. And just maybe one thing back in the mid 90s before eBay was around and you could just easily look stuff like that up. But, nowadays it doesn't require that much to just do a little bit of research. Yeah, I don't know what that is, Keith. I don't know. I don't understand how the notifications work. I know that well, maybe if you hit the bell and make it tell you that you get all notifications, even then, I don't know for sure that that'll work. But I know that when ZF77 Outdoors does a stream, I get a notification. And I assume that it sends notifications to people who have it set up that way. But that's another reason why I usually go over and announce it on the DependableFlame.com Facebook page and group, which I appreciate you. I don't know if you joined the group or not, Keith, but I know I saw you at least followed the page or liked the page, whichever. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all you guys doing that if you get a chance. But I'll leave the notifications over there, and then I'll also leave the notifications at the Discord for those of you who are members there. Which, like I said before, I'm not sure that I really understand exactly how the Discord works. Zippo Daily Fix may be able to clarify that. I think were you the one that created that, Jeremy? Anyway, there's ability to send pictures back and forth over there and posting links, and it's a pretty cool platform as far as sharing stuff. And there's conversations that go on over there. I haven't really spent much time just hanging out over there lately, but I do see that there are conversations that happen from time to time. And I've had conversations with, I think Azrael and I had a conversation over there. I know there's been at least one or two others. But I don't understand exactly what the deal is with the notifications, and I'm not sure that it sends out notifications to subscribers at all when I publish a short. I'm pretty sure it does when I publish a video, but whether or not it does it right when it's published, I don't know about that, because I get notifications from J-Ro and ZF77 and Zippo Lions Den, East Wadoom Flam. I get notifications from all those channels all the time, and when I get, I'll like go and watch it as soon as I get it sometimes, and yet it'll have already been published for maybe even a whole day or close to it. So I don't know how YouTube sends out those notifications. Okay, is that what it is, Azrael? Because I will say this, there's definitely some differences. You watch a little bit of BBC TV or something, some of the stuff that they air on PBS over here, and you definitely got to orient yourself, because while we may sound similar, it's definitely some differences to our language. But there's differences in language to the way I speak compared to, the way some guy that grew up in Boston speaks, or somebody who grew up in North Dakota or Idaho or Minnesota. And even there's people, I think my speech is somewhat Southern sounding, but there's way worse Southern accents than mine. Or maybe I shouldn't say worse, maybe I should say way more, whatever they are. Maybe worse was the right name, or the right word. Okay, that's what I was thinking, ZDF. I know, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like 70% of Latin, 70% of our words come from Latin, and 50% come from Spanish. Maybe I'm getting that backward. But yeah, I know they're all closely related. Yeah, well, the problem is, I guess there's probably enough abandoned businesses around that you could commandeer a parking lot without too much trouble on a weekend. Wow, so a $3 nickel silver case, the tall one. That's something that would be one of those like finds of a lifetime for some people. I can't remember. Well, we've talked about the nickel silver tall case on the live stream before. It seems like it was with Gnarly News, and he wasn't aware of what I was talking about. He wasn't aware of the existence of the tall case, I don't believe. Oh yeah, there you go, Professor. Definitely make that video. I've got a couple of these that, well, no, I shouldn't say a couple. I've got one of them that definitely, I bled it and tried to refill it, and it just won't burn right. But that was the very first one that I bought, oh, back in 2016 or 17. These others, some of them are easier to adjust than others, and I don't know, it might be better to run that. You would think the more refined gas would be better, but it seems to come out much more. It's like there's that vector gas. I'm searching for the word and I'm not finding it. It's like the gas tries to come out with too much force, and like I said, the other one just won't light anymore. But I don't know. I don't know why that being cleaner gas, why that would, is it under more pressure for some reason? And I always have to, well, I'd say that the place I keep them adjusted when I'm using them is probably somewhere around 2/3 to 3/4. But yeah, for the price, they're decent lighters. I would like for somebody to convince me of a butane lighter that I could invest a little bit of money on. Maybe even a vintage one that could be repaired if need be. Because like I said, I use butane lighters all the time. But I don't, and you know, I'm not complaining about the Jet Light, because for what they are, they're good. And you're not just buying some cheap piece of plastic that's going to end up being thrown away. The piezo mechanism feels a little clunky, but they're pretty reliable. Anyway, I would like to find something that was a little bit more high grade than the Jet Light. But the Jet Light is a good, inexpensive option. Well, that's what we were talking about, Azrael, is how some of these people don't. Looks like my feed is locked up again. We were talking about how people sell stuff like that. The price is low. Apparently don't even take the time to look it up to see what it might be worth. What 1911 pistol are you talking about, Azrael? Have we talked about the 1911 before? that's definitely not something that I can bring on the live stream. I read an article last week, or well, no, it's probably been last month now. Um, but they definitely don't want you handling that sort of stuff in a live stream. But I do have one. Oh, Dave created it. What's Dave up to? Is he still around? I hadn't run into him in the last few times I've been in ZF77's live stream. I didn't see Dave. As a matter of fact, the last couple of times I didn't. 2 times ago, Professor's Garage was in there, so I recognized him, but nobody else. And then seemed like I hopped in there for a minute or two last weekend and didn't recognize any of those names either. Yeah, Sean, I don't know why it is with the shorts. I don't think it, when I look at the analytics on the shorts, the way that people watch them, it doesn't look like notifications is even one of the categories. Yeah, that's well, hopefully that's kind of why I started going over there and sending that to everyone. And I did. Dave's the one that pointed out to me. The first couple times I did it, I just posted the link, and Dave said that if I would tag everyone, then it would send that to everyone. And I don't know. There's 140 some people in there. I think it tells me that every time I do it, it warns you that you're about to send this to everybody. But then I also posted over on the dependableflame.com Facebook page and group. And I don't have any idea. I think I get those notifications pretty quick, but I don't know. I don't know exactly if it sends that immediately out to everybody or not. Ah, very cool, Professor. And that was in Brazil, you said? Okay, well, I'm glad that's exactly why I started doing that over in the Discord, Jeremy, is because I thought, uh, like I said, I get the one for, I know ZF77s. I get I get a notification, but like I said, I think that maybe rather than just subscribing, you also have to have that bell set to all notifications. So when you click that bell, I think there's 3 different options. It's not just you subscribe and then everybody gets the same notification. So if y'all want to get the notifications, you might check that and see. I don't know for a fact that that would make a difference, but it might. It would seem, I mean, that was the kind of the language of the ancient world, right? So it didn't really surprise me um, that anywhere in Europe, but I don't really know anything about any other languages either. Like I said, I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, but I can't speak it. I can pick out a word here or there. Obviously, there's words that sound similar, which you can deduce what their meaning is. Um, and maybe I can decipher some of it from the context of other words, but I certainly can't speak it or write it. I do good to do those things with English. Sean, Sean says he moved to Newcastle there in the UK and he couldn't understand half of what his neighbor was saying. Yeah. Um, I met a person who grew up right here, as far as I know, in the southwest part of the state of Oklahoma a couple of months ago that I could hardly understand, Sean. So, yeah, I get it. We all speak our own versions of English. Keith, are you talking about a Zippo belt buckle where the Zippo like snaps in two? Is it like with a magnet, or how does the? You talking about a belt buckle that you wear that then holds a Zippo lighter? Now I know Zippo made actual, it like made like military belt buckles, right? And some of them had some really cool painted graphics of like ships and stuff like that, just like the lighters did. That's crazy. $3 for any lighter, huh? Well, there's some lighters that may not be worth $3, but the nickel silver tall case is definitely worth your $3. I like the soft flames too. I need to try the Zippo soft flame butane torch because that might work for me. But in the Oklahoma wind, the things that I am generally lighting, I don't even remember the last time I fueled that lighter up. The things that I'm lighting, trying to light them in the wind as that flame is dancing around and jumping to one side or the other, it's just about worthless. But a butane soft flame might be different, especially if it's not extremely tall or long. So yeah, I need to consider that. That might be the way to go, is the Zippo soft flame. I love using a Zippo, you know, if I'm lighting something inside or if there's no wind. It's great. It's just I don't like lighting the side of my joint or burning it. You know, I'm trying to get that lit evenly on the end. I'm not trying to cut it in half or get it burning unevenly. Yeah, I think that's right, Azriel. M1911. Yeah, I've got a Contempo right here, ZDF, but it's missing some parts, and I can't remember whether I tested it. It seemed like I tested it and it leaked gas anyway. But yeah, I wouldn't mind running into one of those if, and I don't know though, is that an easily repaired butane lighter? Are there people that repair those? What is your question about the M1911, Azrael? What's up, Ron? Hardcrackers, glad that you have joined us. Well, they may do that if you search stuff on eBay, but the thing about on eBay, Sean, is you got millions of eyes, at least the possibility of millions of eyes. I don't know how many people are looking at lighter listings, but it's thousands of people. So, you know, a mistake on eBay, especially a mistake where you say start an auction low. You don't see too many of that though, where people put it on eBay at a buy it now that's too low. You do, you see it, but it's not. I'd say it's rare. It doesn't happen very often. Doesn't happen all the time, at least for great stuff. But you do see where, you know, auctions start low, but they usually get bid up pretty high. Usually to the neighborhood where they should be. But unidentified stuff for sure. no doubt. Definitely plenty of opportunities for stuff like that. Oh yeah, no doubt, Ron, with the Okie and Arky accents. And but like I said, man, I ran into a guy from southwestern Oklahoma a couple months ago that if I didn't know better, I would have thought he was from the swamps of Louisiana or something. I mean, this guy's accent was harsh. Take it easy, Professor. Glad that you were able to join us today. Keith, I don't know if ZDF has done live streams or not. I can't recall. I know that he's been present in the ZF77 live streams. I know J-Ro has done some live streams. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember Zippo Lions Den ever doing a live stream. There used to be different rules. Used to you had to be monetized. You had to have the 1,000 subscribers and whatever the watch time, 4,000 watch time hours or whatever it was. But now I think they'll let you live stream before you get to that point now. Yeah, Zippo Daily Fix says that he hasn't done live streams, that he's participated in ZF77s in the past. Yeah, Sean, you're talking about the different words, and he mentioned satisfaction and how it's same or similar in all the different languages, just pronounced different. Yeah, I agree with you. That's where the similarities can help you sometimes. To where I might be able to figure out what a person in Spanish is saying at certain times, but it's not like I know Spanish or can speak it. Yeah, I can understand that, telling your neighbor to slow down. Give your ears more time to process what you're hearing. Which kind of Zippo belt buckle are you talking about, Keith? Are you talking about the kind that holds the lighter? I assume that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of, Jeremy. You say they're hard to fix. Um, yeah. So maybe the best option for me as far as a butane lighter would be to try that soft flame. You're asking how much a 1911 goes for, Azrael? That's I don't know. Depends on what kind of name brand you're going to buy. If you're buying a Kimber or something like that, then I don't think you're going to get into one of those for less than 1,500 or 2,000. But mine is a Para Ordnance or Para USA, and I can't remember. I bought it used from an individual, and it seems like I paid under 500. But I watched listings for a long time. What's up, Dylan? Glad that you're enjoying the Slim Scrimshaw. You're not using it, are you? Did you fill it up and fire it up? That's awesome if you are. I don't have the, well, it's not like that lighter has a great value. I mean, it's not like it's hundreds of dollars or anything, but still, I don't know that I could have brought myself to actually use that one. Just like I haven't used this Semper High from, what year is that? 2010. And that's not the correct box for it. That box won't close. But also the Bob Dylan double-sided lighter. I don't know that I could ever use it. But that's part of what's got me thinking maybe I ought to just sell it. Kind of bothers me to have something brand new that I've never used and I'm never going to use. My Cygnuses are the highlight of my collection. And since I traded the one to Friedrich Deal for the Scrimshaw Slim, I don't have a new Cygnus. Every one of those that I own are used. So a little Zippo Mafia reunion here in the Coffee and Lighters live stream. On the display, huh? What kind of display do you have, Dylan? Do you have a Zippo display, like a lighted, motorized type thing, or something that fits up on your wall? Hey Keith, which belt buckles are you talking about? Are you talking about a belt buckle that a Zippo lighter fits into? Like where it snaps in and just rides right there on your belt? Kind of like you're carrying a cell phone or something on your belt, only this is on your belt buckle? Wall mounted Zippo display case. Alright. That's cool. I'm gonna have to rethink. I kind of had some displays going over there at the place in Mesta Park, but I don't really have anywhere to display things over here, so things are probably gonna kind of stay packed up and get drug out as I need them for the time being. It's kind of surprising to me because I think I fueled that 2 weeks ago when I took the pictures to list it on eBay. I haven't used it since then. Kind of surprised that that's still holding fuel that long. Yeah, okay. Well, how's that work with the magnet? Is it because is the magnet strong enough that it's. well, what's the word I'm looking for? What does a magnet do? Is it, because it won't stick to the brass, right? So will it stick to the steel case well enough through the brass? Okay, interesting. I'd never seen one in person. I've seen them in different listings, but I've certainly never owned one. I guess assuming that it is strong enough to keep it in place, then that would be a cool thing. And kind of a unique way for you to show off some of the lighters in your collection if you wanted to fuel them up and take them out and use them that way. Something a little bit strange though about carrying something around on your belt buckle. But I don't know if there's anything wrong with it. Sort of drawing attention to your crotch in a way. But I mean, I guess people do the same thing with like rodeo belt buckles and that sort of thing. I've never been a big belt buckle wearing kind of guy. I have had one of those giant Zippos. It wasn't Zippo brand. Can't remember the brand it was. And I've had a few other giant lighters like that. I've had one that was a flip top like a Zippo. I had one that was like a clone of a KW or something. And I've also had one that was a lift arm lighter. Maybe had a couple that were lift arm lighters. I don't know, something kind of goofy about those big ass lighters, but you know, some of them, you know, first of all, they were the ones that I had. They were all working lighters. You know, you put a flint in them and a whole bottle of fuel and light them up. So it's going to hold a lot of fuel, and if you don't use them, then you're going to waste a lot of fuel. But which is kind of the challenge for what I do, because I need to fuel it up to make a video, and yet I don't necessarily want to waste a whole bottle of fuel into a lighter. But some of those giant lighters, they take a lot of fuel. Yeah, you're right. Probably provide some heat, which, you know, they do heat up when if you light one and just let it sit there and burn, then typically that case will get hot. That one doesn't have enough fuel in it to stay lit very long. And neither is that one. That's funny. And this lighter that I fueled up, like I said, that had to be 2 weeks ago or close to it. But these other two I've been using, and I think I actually fueled this one up last Tuesday here on the live stream. I've used it a decent amount. And I really do like the squared off top and bottom of this one. It's a little bit more sure in my hand than the 41 replica. I like the look of the 41 replica, and it functions good, but there's times where it feels like I have a hard time when my hands are dry getting a grip. Anyway, they're both good lighters. Part of my rotation of EDC lighters. And then I got another one here that the vintage look without the slashes. That'll be the next one that I fuel up and use. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Keith. Nothing wrong with a free lighter. I believe I'm going to have to cut this short. I think they're coming into the apartment, do some kind of yearly fire inspection. So I'm going to go ahead and take off, but I will see you guys again next week. Make sure that I get this lighter fueled up again before then. Until next time.